Listen close, we rise up from the ashes, digging for the truth, breaking old habits. We marching with the nesters, they laid the foundation, passed down revelation, sparked our motivation, and through all the fakers, phonies in our chest, reborn from deception, eyes wide open, no room for misdirection. Every step we take, we honor the connection between past and present, forging our resurrection. Truth setting us free from the lies that they feed. We reclaim our beliefs, thinking differently will break every chain. We dance for freedom, case by case, again. We cultivate vision, planting seeds of awareness, challenge the narrative, break out of the harness, digging deep for knowledge, unearthing the hidden. Our minds are the soil where the future is written. No longer confined by the scripts they prescribe. We write our own story, let the real one subscribe. One voice becomes many, together we rally. Freedom's not a concept, it's a move and a tally. Dog by dog, we shift the stage. Phoenix rises in truth, setting us free from the lies that they feed. We reclaim our beliefs, thinking differently will break every chain. We dance for freedom, case by case, again. Again. Rise up, speak out, watch the new world breathe.
Brian has been essentially convicted in the media. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent. So if I talk about things that are in the affidavit, and if I talk about things that we're seeking that the state wants to hide, I think that's fair game for the public to hear.
Woo! Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Fair game for the public to hear. Boy, I'll tell you, I have a jam-packed day today. This is not an anniversary that people want to be celebrating, but this is an opportunity to share with the world. We've got a lot of people from all over the world watching this case, how it is unraveling, how it is played out in the IDAHO4, which that is what we're talking about today. And when you think about this case, what's the first word that comes into your mind? Drop your thoughts below. I'm going to welcome everyone in. Critic Rick is in the house. Caleb, good morning to you, sir. Yes, good morning, everyone. Cat's Girl, welcome in. Dina, welcome in. Welcome in, every single one of you. Terry, welcome in. Look at all these members here this morning. This is absolutely fantastic. No talkie before coffee. Good morning, somber day indeed. Hugs. Hug the ones you love and tell them every chance you get. And I so agree to that. I really agree to that. Because you know what? my husband said it best yesterday. So we had to travel a few hours to go to Mexico to have some dental work for him done. And I will tell you, when he was talking to this dentist, he said, his work was guaranteed. He had to get a crown and some other work, and he basically said, my work is guaranteed for 5 years. And he said, well, what if you walk out of this place and tomorrow you're not here? What do I do then? And I never even would have thought of something like that. Of course, it spooked the dentist, but he said, no, my work is good for 5 years. The crown is good for 5 years, no metal. And we were happy with that answers because you know what? Nothing in life is guaranteed. The crown isn't guaranteed. And obviously you walk out of the dentist office and you hope that nothing happens. But same thing here. You send your kids off to college and you hope and pray that nothing happens. So you tell your loved ones every chance you get how much that you love and appreciate them and that you want the best for them. I agree. No talkie before coffee. Polka dots. Good morning. Prayers and have a blessed day. Absolutely. Light them candles. It's a time to celebrate these kids. And like I said, they're going to be forever married to the name of Brian Kohberger, unfortunately. But if you know, when you start looking at this case, Ann Taylor has been telling the world he is factually innocent. We went over the legal term of factually innocent. And Hillary, good morning. You made a live. Whoop, whoop. Good morning to you. Good morning to every single one of you. If I missed you, we will come back around. I know you always have some good thoughts to drop. So that is the one word that you guys are dropping in the chat. Terrifying. Good morning, Holly Berry. Heartbreaking. Corruption. Lies. Good morning, Rocket. Good morning. This could happen to any one of us. Absolutely. I agree. Good morning, Marissa. Good morning, TK1117. Good morning. Yes, absolutely. So weird. I just got back from the dentist getting a crown. New Orleans lady in the house. Yeah, I went through dental work last year, and mind you, I hadn't been to the dentist, but maybe one time in the last, I don't know, 11 years, and that was only for an emergency. And last year I did 3 straight months of dental work to repair 2 bridges, 2 crowns, 1 filling, and a whole lot of downtime, I'll tell you. And I did want to say this morning, I was not live yesterday. If you missed me, I am so sorry. I had to go support hubby and get his dental work. And, there are a lot of people yelling and telling me about Tom. And I just want to pay a tribute to him because he was always 100% kind to me. He never had anything bad to say about me. And that in my heart is a really true testimony to the individual Tommy Jude was. He never, ever, ever, ever talked bad about anyone. He would give his comments and his concerns, but Tommy stayed true to the cause. I will tell you, always on the top of my list. Even when he allowed me to go live on his show, I always appreciated him. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I'm talking about Tommy and I didn't change the picture. He always, and this is one of the lives that I was on with him, he always was a gentle and kind soul. Loved music. We had that in common. And, if you haven't heard, Tommy Jude was said to have passed away the day before. Like I said, I was gone all day yesterday. And he was just a really down to earth type of guy. Down to earth, honest. And, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago when he said that, he's had a really hard time and what he was going through. And then he was diagnosed and he shared that with his community. I will tell you, he is a beacon of light for many of us. He was not afraid to speak his mind, not at all. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, Tommy Jude over on the YT, I'll give you, some of you do know. And for those of you who don't know and that are tuning in, here is his really quick page, Once Upon a Crime Time. Great music, good man. I mean, just a really good soul, and I can't say enough about him. So if you get a chance, pop over there, show him some love. He's got some tributes going out, and just an amazing guy. And rest in peace, Tommy. You were loved and well deserved. I'll tell you. And you know what? You have to appreciate your elders. I'm just going to say that from here on out. And, no matter what kind of hate is out there in the create hate tour world, you just have to really take it with a grain of salt. You can't bully people into being nice, folks. You can't. They are who they are, and they are what they are. So, once you see beyond who people really are, it's kind of hard to say and blow away things that they do, but I don't support bullying, harassing, talking bad, putting down people, and for that person who fat shamed me, older perimenopausal women, postmenopausal women, we gain a little fluff. Our hormones are not like men. But like I've always said, if men are fat and overweight and ugly, that's their fault. They can do something about it. So I'll just leave that there. I can be as blunt too, but it is what it is in the creator hate page. They actually have a real word for it. And if that's your deal, then so be it. R.I.P. Tommy, we love you. And yes, now I hope he's with his maker. So with that being, such a double standard for women. I agree. And coming from a natural health perspective, I am a retired naturopathic doctor, a classically trained. And what really bothers me the most is, especially if you have given birth to little people, right? Children. It really irritates me to no end that some people just don't understand a woman's body, especially being a man. Men don't appreciate nor understand women's body. Yeah, they'll lust after them and go after those, but, they just don't truly appreciate it. So with that being said, and people are saying terrified, can you imagine just the sheer fact, and I'm going to bring some really just mind-boggling information forward. Caleb, I'm a plant doctor. I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, just like plants, they need plenty of water and food. So remember your body. In this IDAHO4 anniversary case that we're talking about, could you imagine? Now, I just want to just tune you into this. Can you imagine Bill Thompson being terrified that the public learns the real killer may be on the loose? Think about it. How terrifying would that be for a prosecutor to know that they may have got the wrong person? What would you do if you were Bill Thompson in this case? What would you do? Because, baby, we're going into full cryptic talk mode later on this afternoon. If you have not seen, I have dropped 4 lives today. 4 lives. Yes, folks, I'm going live 4 times today to bring you some amazing information. Now, whether you believe it or not is up to you. I'm just dropping the facts in your lap, and you with your beautiful minds can determine what it is that you choose to believe. Now, yeah, here we go. Everyone, please look into Bill's eyes. They would deny it and deny it. I believe so. Retire, LOL, says Hillary. Hide. Borrow land says he needs to go to prison. Dina, I think you hit the nail on the head. I really don't think he cares about that. He only cares about his stats. I would have to somewhat agree because, when you look at him and how the interviews he's done play out, all I see is an empty vessel, like he got caught. In my humble opinion, allegedly. I got the disclaimer up here. We are just talking about the facts of the IDAHO4. What we see are opinions, speculation. I think he is terrified. That would be one word to explain and surmise Bill Thompson. Look at his demeanor, look at his eyes. If you study them carefully, his eyes are telling the truth. His mouths are speaking lies. I would hide on the island somewhere. Ha ha ha. Prison, one word. They definitely will never have the integrity to admit they fudged this case. Marissa, yes. I'm retired. Parent, early childhood educator, kids are still my passion. Absolutely. Well, he should be terrified. 3 times as bad for the other priests not pulled in and investigated the proper way. Oh, very, very, very true. Lulubelle, you have a great point. But I also don't think it was his call. I think he was a pawn in this. Well, let me just specify, the roles of a prosecutor are very clear. But one thing I want to do before we go over that is I'm going to share with you a real quick video that I found after the plea deal. POI, not priest. Okay, that would make better sense. The real POI. So, he should be terrified 3 times as bad for the other POI not pulled in and investigated the proper way. Now that makes more sense. Bad Santa. The holidays are coming. These kids won't have another holiday for the 3rd year in a row. And neither will Brian Kohberger for the 3rd year in a row. And not being reunited with his family, with his mother who loves him, is exhausting. Exhausting. He was about to commit murder, charging with the well, yeah, you have to. I think he's terrified that the whole world is going to learn the truth. I'm so happy for you and the whole true crime community hungry for some justice. If we're not hungry and fired up for justice, we live in a sad United States. There should be more of us worried for our future justice. And I mean true justice, not this shambled justice that they've just displayed for the whole world to see, that behind closed doors, we can put anybody in jail. We could make the evidence work and frame people. We could slice and dice and do whatever we want. Their body language is their body language. It's speaking. We are terrified. I mean, I look at Ashley Jennings and him in an interview not too long ago, and they do look terrified. BT was about to commit murder of BK in the firing squad with the stroke of the pen. True, this could be you. This could be anyone. This is a pattern of corruption. It's abuse of power. It is abuse of power that they have in our country. Think about it. Prosecutors hold a lot of weight to say what happens to you in your future. My heart hurts for BK and his family this time of year. Yeah, absolutely. Prosecutors call all the shots, baby. All of them. 3 years later, here we are. We have more questions than answered, which is the perfect segue. Christina, you are so awesome. Which is the perfect segue into this little clip. Let's watch it.
Brian Kohberger, now inmate 163214, beginning life in this Idaho maximum security prison. But for the families of the victims, still so many questions about why he murdered Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Zeneca Nodal, and Ethan Chapin.
It would always be nice to have an answer to everything, but the reality is that we don't always have that luxury.
Lead prosecutor Bill Thompson finally free to speak, sitting down with us after the release of hundreds of documents related to the case, including one revealing in the weeks before the murders, Kaylee Gonzalez thought she was being followed. And a chilling tip from a woman who said she matched with Kohberger on the dating app Tinder. She told them he asked her what she thought would be the worst way to die. When she responded, by knife, Kohberger allegedly said, like a K-bar, his future murder weapon, which still has never been found.
Where is the murder weapon? The clothes you wore that night? What were Kaylee's last words?
Thompson, who negotiated the plea deal that took the death penalty off the table for Kohberger, telling us even if the case went to trial, he believes the families would still never have gotten those answers.
What do you say to those families who feel like that was doing a deal with the devil?
We made a proposal on our terms, not his.
I think there's still those who feel like it's what he wanted was life in prison versus the death penalty.
I don't know what was going through his head or what he wanted. One way or another, he's going to be in prison until he dies.
He took them from me, my friends.
I can't stand to watch that, but you get the idea of where I'm going with Bill Thompson. Why would Bill be so terrified? Listening to him say this in that clip makes me think he's got to be terrified. The truth is now being uncovered. Documents are being unsealed. People are beginning to shake, rattle, and roll in this case when you see things like, let's discuss it. Presence of unknown DNA and blood at the crime scene. What does this scream? It screams, we have no clue who murdered these individuals. We have no clue. ISP, MPD can't tie them. Can't even tie Brian Kohberger. They can't even say it with a clear, straight face. He may have never been in that house. He may have never stalked them. May have never known them. No connection. No connection. Ken Jr., you bring up a really good point. If they blame Kopaka, then he was killed. A lot of this would have been buried and they would have gotten away with it by pivoting to Brian. Shows their mistakes in a cover-up. Now, I don't get this whole thing with Kopaka, okay? I don't really understand, in my humble opinion, how they connected Kopaka and how the crime community and all of us together connected even Kopaka to this case. Now, I will say Judge almost said his name. It did sound like it to me, in my humble opinion. Almost said Kopaka's name. However, he didn't say the whole word. Now, maybe Judge was briefed on the background story. Maybe he had been clued into Kopaka's name. I don't know. But somehow his name got brought up because they live in close proximity to each other, because, Kopaka was a known government contractor. All right. I know, in my humble opinion, if somebody was going to be blamed for this atrocity, they were out looking already, word on the street. If they had anyone on the inside working with law enforcement, they were looking for someone to take the fall. I mean, come on. Veterans talk. There was a vet on the inside of the Moscow Police Department. Don't you just kind of think that this is strange, all these military people involved in this case? Here you have a guy that was sent there, ex-military, no connection to this area. I've said this before. Brett Payne had no connection to that area. None. No family, no friends. Maybe his brother, who had no connection to that area either. I mean, think about it. He did go to St. Mary's. His brother did graduate. So they did have a little connection, but nothing major. I mean, I swore I would never go back to my small hometown once I joined the military, moved off and went to the big cities and everywhere overseas. I was never going to move home to a little tiny town until I was ready to retire. And just because somebody looks suspicious doesn't mean they are suspicious. You just have to question the individual. And I believe it. There is way too many military people attached to this case, folks. Whether you realize it or not, there are. Now, am I saying something nefarious happened? No. Am I saying somebody planned this out? No. Do I believe it's a possibility? Perhaps. Anything in life is a possibility, like I started this stream. But this prosecutor has got to be terrified because investigators found a 3-person mixture of unknown male DNA under one of the victim's fingernails. This DNA is not Brian Kohberger. They also discovered blood from 2 different unidentified males, one inside the house and one in that glove, the famous glove outside the house. These findings make up and they open up the alternative perpetrator possibilities that Ann Taylor was bringing to the court. That means the case may not be as simple as single suspect, lone wolf, one and done, got your guy, end of story. There may have been more. In order to bring this forward in, say, national security, a foreign country would have had to been involved. Some type of illegal money exchange. And speaking of money, I cannot believe, and speaking of this whole entire case, I cannot believe that the U.S. government Treasury is going to eliminate the penny. Have you guys heard about this morning? They are going to eliminate the penny from our banking system. What do you all think about that? They just announced 19 hours ago that the Mint has finally printed its last penny. And if you are okay with this case and you don't have any questions about this case, this penny not being printed should terrify you more than anything else out there happening in the world right now. This is the gateway to eliminating a cash-based society, folks, in my humble opinion. They're going to get rid of the penny. No one's going to flinch a muscle or bat an eye, and this penny is going to go away. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But look at the other country. Finally, somebody is saying it. Look at the other countries that they have done it. Look at what they've done. That is the gateway to changing the world that they want. And this case should be just as terrifying to you, that they are making it the way that they want. And not only Bill should be terrified, but we should take this with a grain of salt in this case, because many of you have been clued in to what this case is is really all about. It starts with the penny. How about if I said, Ken, it starts with the DNA, the misrepresentation of DNA in a judicial case. It starts with the DNA. You're thinking that, oh, it just started with the penny. The penny will move us to a, next it'll be the dime, next it'll be the quarter, then it'll be the dollar, then it'll be every. No, digital, digital, digital. And yes, I agree to some extent they are trying to force crypto. I mean, you do have Trump crypto now. You do have all these other, options for digital currency. Think about it. Now, I'm not going to go into the conspiracy theory about, oh my God, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. We're all going to be. No, I'm not going to do that. I believe in having balanced logic and understanding how our system works. And when I say a system, it really is a system. I mean, they already have you at birth knowing how much you're going to owe in taxes over your determination of your lifespan, an estimate for every single baby born today. They already know when you file your taxes, they already know how much you're going to get back or how much that you've overpaid, how much you've underpaid. They know everything. Digital, digital. You thought that H&R Block was doing you a favor when they rolled out free filing online, folks. No, they just got you started to a process that you were okay with. Because I still enjoy going and sitting down with the CPA and talking about all the tax codes and this and that, yippity yappity, and getting that done and filed. It starts with the technology. It always has. Now, in regards to this case for the prosecutor, it's concerning because any DNA, any unknown DNA or alternate actor scenario gives the defense the potential opening to argue reasonable doubt, which they were yelling and screaming from the rafters. And if the defense can credibility claim someone else was there, which we all know it wasn't Kohberger, somebody else was factually there, someone else left blood or DNA, then this complicates the state's single attacker defendant. And he should be terrified, in my humble opinion. In my humble opinion. See, here's the difference. The critical evidence, they never show us tested in the forensic documents. There were steak knives, Kershaw knife, lots of other blood swabs, lots of other items that could have been tested, and they were never tested. In my humble opinion, it would have told him who actually committed this awful, heinous, horrible crime. Now, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on Bill Thompson here or the prosecution team, but you do realize there was an individual that was an African American that was identified in the forensic DNA. Did anybody know that? I'm going to pull up that document for you because I like receipts. I like to just show you. A lot of people knew this a long time ago. And what if it's the individual that everyone has speculated? What if it's that individual and they went rogue in a confidential informant type of way and they couldn't put it out into the world that we messed up? That yes, there is somebody else involved that we can't say because they might be a confidential informant. He would have been terrified to have to admit that they messed up. Cops were surveillancing that area for a certain reason. And if they messed up, they had to cover up. Yes, someone questioned about the male who was tanned. Now, when you look at this, I'm going to put it up on the screen for you. Hopefully this screen will work. Yep, okay. This DNA testing was the single parentage probability of exclusion for a population African American. Now, when you look at the actual testing of this, is it possible that a CI, a confidential informant, and their cover was blown and they committed some horrible atrocities? Because remember, I have to give a disclaimer, and this is probably the strongest disclaimer I have ever given. There was not just one individual in that town that was African American. We're not going to bring up the race card, and we're not going to discredit people that we can't say did this. But did the defense, did the prosecution work together to find the real killer? Like, that is what true justice is to me. And if I start becoming spicy Phoenix today, it is because my heart is in the right place. We want the real justice to happen. That's what we believe in. That's the morality of real justice. Real justice is finding who actually did this. That is what we all should be focused on. All should be focused on. Now, I'm going to ask you, chat, a question. And I want you to humbly think about this before you answer. Do you think critical forensic information was overlooked to protect individuals and a operation? 1 for yes, 2 for no, or type out whatever you want to say. Because we're in this together. Yeah, I'm fired up this morning. You have no idea how fired up I am. Because everyone that is tuned in and that knows me, I have talked about this before. Being framed by the justice system that we believe in is wrong. It's morally corrupt. Morally. They weren't looking. Murders happened while under surveillance, so cover up from the jump. And who were they covering up for? Remember the other day when I said, stop asking who and start asking why? The only way we're going to find the answers is if we ask why. Why? Now, I want to point out an error that I have made, and I do apologize. That is who I am. I made a video a while back in reading the Moscow Police Department that were redacted for reasons. Better to be pissed off, yeah, than pissed on. And we all make mistakes. But before this forensic document came out, I mentioned an individual, and I'm going to play that video for you so that I can correct my own error. Because with the redaction of these documents, it's very clear mistakes will be made. Now, no one's called me out on this mistake. I'm calling myself out on this mistake. Because being human means we make mistakes, but being human also means that those with moral compasses fix their mistakes. And I'm using this as an analogy. Watch this video and I'll explain. Now, this is no conspiracy. These are just facts. And how come no one fact-checked this in regards to the Idaho 4? I'm going to show you each step so you clearly understand what I'm talking about. This guy right here, yes, his statement reads such as this. So here is his actual statement when being interviewed by Officer John Rosinski. Now, he says, Rosinski, seen security at the 112 King Road, K-Bar follow-up, which he had some things he needed to go follow up in regards to the K-Bar purchases in the area, and PR interview, which I just showed you who PR is. How do I know that? Public information, public video, shout out to JLR, and was it on video? Yes. So here it goes. The officer received a phone call advising me there was a quadruple homicide. He actually went there to do the security check. On the following day, he learned that a sheath was found inside the apartment, which was actually the 1122 King Road, and describes the sheath. Now comes the actual follow-up with all these local retailers about seeing if anyone purchased a K-Bar knife in the area. Well, he figured out and found out that each of the above stores that are here do not sell K-Bar brand knives. Check. Well, at Walmart, I was speaking to a staff member, and basically she indicated that a college-age male came in and asked for a black ski mask that would cover his face. She was unable to provide much detail other than he was light tan skin complexion, and said she advised the male that they didn't have any black ski masks, that they only had camo. Then she said the male walked away. Then the officer goes, obviously, to the university. I'm paraphrasing here because he has to find out who this individual is to go question him. And eventually he does find out because the PR is listed here. You know, the guy's picture I just showed you. Now, he says, on about 11:45 hours, I spoke with PR at Memorial Gym. That's at the U of I campus. Then he goes on to say, he met him at the substation on the university campus. And he's currently the blank for the fraternity, the picture that I showed you. Here it is again, just so you have fresh in your mind. I asked if he could walk me through what he did the night of 11/12/22 in the early mornings of 11/13/22. Blank said at about 6:30 on 11/12/22, he was at a party. And then he said the party was at the Treehouse, which is an offsite. Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. You kind of know what's going on, right? Now, when I go back to the beginning of this document that was given on Supplement 8, PR could have been Peyton Rossi. We watched his simple video the other day. He said that he was with the frat. He drove on the second page. He drove, hold on a minute, let me get there. Didn't work. He drove JD, let me see if it'll let me go forward. Hold on. He drove JD and a couple of other frat members. But let me explain something to you real quick. In this document that I shared in sequence 8, it should terrify you all, because PR could have been Peyton Rossi, and it also could have been Peter Regan, which the officer threw both of those stories together in one document. Now, how freaking scary is that? I had to go back 3 or 4 times just to look and see. He threw 2 documents together. He threw two situations together. Was it to confuse the general public? They know what they're doing. I honestly believe, in my humble opinion, this police department knows exactly what they're doing. These are not inexperienced officers. These are not inexperienced prosecutors. 30 years on the books. This guy's not inexperienced. Do you think that all these guys are rookies? No, they're not rookies. And you know how I know they're not? When they hire people for this specific job working with the university, if you remember on video cam during a ride along, the officer was explaining every little detail of what they do to get that type of job with the working with the Moscow Police Department, with the campus division. Campus, guys. Campus division, where the brightest and the youngest and the most elite individuals come out of Moscow of Idaho, University of Idaho. They're not going to let some rookie Joe Schmo come and join the campus security, campus policing of these young individuals. They're not going to let just anybody walk off the street, become a cop, and go work with these people in the city of Moscow. That's not who these people are. And I'm just speaking from knowledge and fact after digging into every single person. Yeah, they're not going to let up, USA. They're not going to let some Paul Bart mall cop in there. They're not going to let they're not. They are not going to say, okay, you pass the job requirements. Why? Do I need to bring up that ride along so that you guys can understand? Does everybody remember that video for the most part? Let me bring it up. Noise complaint. 1122 King Road. I think I have a bookmark. Hold on. It's the night that they go and they visit the house party. Let's apply. They go and they visit the house party. They don't want just anybody. They want certain people. And the cop is outside.
Kids get super hammered and fall. Well, they don't come to the door.
Guys, Payne is at this noise complaint. The guy that comes up with the ride along explains the whole entire process of what they have to do to get to be a cop on this beat.
No one should be a fan of White Claws or truly.
And then we sat here.
It's 4 phases, 4 weeks.
It's 4 phases of hiring somebody for this specific job. Listen.
Okay. And again, if I have to come back later tonight, like I said, ice next week. Actually, there for 2 years. Since I usually give it out. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, you enjoy your evening, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys take the training and try them out, make sure they actually enjoy the job before you invest a whole lot more time.
Yeah, so we to get them to this point, just to get them hired. It's a pretty substantial. They do a full background check, tons of interviews. We go to all their previous places of work. We send people to where they live. So just to get to where you're hired was a big deal. And then it's 4 phases, 4 weeks each. They get progressively more burden put on them to do the job on their own, basically. And so we have a 50% washout rate, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. So
even if they were from out of state, you try and send somebody there?
Yeah. Yep. We send people to Montana and Illinois and California.
Personally from the police department, or you reach out?
Our detective sergeant goes, talks to all their bosses, and pulls all their records. It's crazy because it's such a high liability. If you hire someone who's got a bad record and you don't find it, you're stuck with them. So
Okay, so you all just heard it for your own ears. There's a 4-step process. It is almost like going and getting a top secret background in the military. When they give you a TBSI or a background top security secret investigation, they will go to your high school. They will go and meet your grade school friends. The military did it for me when I went into the military. And they even went and talked to my grade school best friend, uh, and just went around to see what type of person that you were. They go in deep. So they're not hiring just podunk people off the street that don't know anything about this police department for this campus division. Because when you work in the university system or you are working in law enforcement with Moscow Police Department, they want the best of the best. They don't want just leftovers, guys. I'm just being real and raw. When you go in there and you say, I want a job with X, Y, and Z, okay, now let me just throw this in here. I just thought of something. So we all got the, the narrative that Brian had a heroin problem. They threw that in there. We know that Brian possibly didn't have a heroin problem from his best friend Will that went on our show when Bertie and I were live, and we questioned him and we asked him certain things, and Bertie was playing good cop, I was playing bad cop, and I asked Will when Bertie asked Will, do you think he could be working as a confidential informant, FBI? No. Bertie asked him, do you think he could be working with the FBI? And Will said flat out, fast as hell, no. And then I said, Will, do you think he could be a confidential informant working with some special agency? And Will paused and he said, possible. He went on ride-alongs with me to pick up stuff, but he never used it. Bingo, question answered. Think about it, folks. And I did a whole background check on Will even before I agreed to go live with Will. Okay? So I had already known about Will's history, his background, and even before we brought him up on the live backstage, Bertie and I were like, Will, you got any skeletons in your closet? You better tell us now. And I grilled him, and you can ask Bertie about it. I grilled him. He was like, damn, I didn't know anybody knew that about me. Okay, so I'm bringing you raw and real. So now we know that they only look for the best of the best. They're going to find something out if you got anything on you. And I will tell you, Moscow Police Department, you heard it out of the officer's mouth, it's high liability. And what does that open up to? It opens up to national security when you have the universities and colleges that are our namesake in our history of America. It opens it up to foreign possibilities of some type of corruption. You've got professors, guys, in some of our largest, well-known elite universities that are charged with treason for giving secrets away to other countries. This opens up liabilities at universities. Huge liabilities. So whatever they are covering up from us in this case, it has to be huge. It has to be way beyond drug trade, trafficking trade, way beyond anything that you could possibly imagine. It might be national security. Huge national security. And I've always said it from day one. If you know Moscow in that area, in what is around in that area, there are nuclear power plants that were there. There are all kinds of other things that happen in that area. There are other agencies that work in that area. If it was national security, then they did it for a reason to protect our country. Now, I sure hope I haven't gone way too far down the rabbit hole in this, but I've got facts to back it up, especially when you're talking about direct energy in Moscow. You can go and look all over the place. You can go and see it. It's all over the internet. And I wasn't planning to go down this rabbit hole, but when somebody said that, yeah, absolutely. Now, what I will say is that the anniversary of this date is being misshared in the community. So they're saying that this happened in the early morning of the 13th. That is the anniversary of this atrocity. And when you start looking at this atrocity, it should terrify you that this could happen in any town. Any college town can be infiltrated, whether it's through the DNA, whether it's through the prosecutor knowing that they have to put this show on. And I believe, in my humble opinion, did these people really pass? I don't know. Did 2 of them pass? Possibly. All 4 of them? Don't know. In their own documents, in the forensic documents, in the state's exhibits, it shows death certificates pending. That was the date of the grand jury. There's something else around this time before this happened that took place. A couple of arrests, a couple of CIs, a couple of people that got busted, a couple of other deaths, a couple of odd occurrences that happened in that area. Do you think we'll ever find true justice, and find out what happened here? Are we really seeing what they want us to see? Or have we advanced so far as humans to question the unthinkable of the narratives they are trying to shove down our throats? Because let's face the truth. This prosecutor should be terrified. The presence of unknown DNA and blood at the crime scene, critical evidence they overlooked, that's vulnerability. The unknown motive and unusual behavior. See, guys, the killer's motive still officially remains unlisted, unknown in this case. The defendant had an academic background in criminology, forensic science. Investigators reported that the car was meticulously cleaned. The defendant's movements were all traced. Cell phone pings around the crime scene area. From a prosecutor's perspective, in my humble opinion, the lack of coherent motive, and with all the details of the cleaning, the background, the crime scene, they all raise concern. Are we looking at a planned, possibly multi-staged attack? Are there more players, undisclosed players? Is the real killer someone else who set things up to frame Brian Kohberger? Or was this all planned to escape or protect national security? You know, the unknown perpetrator angle never really sat well with me. Because either Brian Kohberger had an accomplice or more than 2, but he's never shared what really happened. And that's the biggest fear for a prosecutor. And Bill Thompson didn't even flinch for a proffer. You saw him stand up in court. Didn't even say why, how, when, who, what, where, did anything. Nothing. And this is a great question, Hillary. A great question. So what does this mean for the prosecutor? The prosecutor should have made sure all strands of the narrative link together. The motive, opportunity, forensic detail, weapon, location, timeline, elimination of all other POIs like Lulu Bell mentioned. Because the unknown DNA paints a different picture. And they knew this back in February. They knew this, guys, in late December 2020. 2022. They knew the forensics outcomes in 2022. December 28th, 2022. They knew it was not Brian Kohberger. And yet, they still arrested him. Because when I look at Brian Kohberger, he's not African American. He's not, in my humble opinion. So they knew. They knew they were arresting an innocent man. Not many people will talk about the national security, but I will. And make sure that you come back. Like I said, I have 4 lives scheduled today. The next one, you're going to not want to miss. Bill Thompson should be terrified. Do me a favor, all you amazing, beautiful people. I appreciate every single one of you. I put a post up last night, just so appreciative of all of you. Did you send me an email? I didn't receive it. I did. I'll respond later on today. Christina, thank you so much for your super sticker. I didn't see it while I was on a tangent, but I will always express and bring you facts and truth to this case. If there's something that I overlooked, I apologize. If there's something that I missed, I apologize. If there's something that someone said that I didn't see it, I apologize. And I will admit, in my humble opinion, I make mistakes. But one thing about me and integrity, I'll go back and fix them. And that, with one thing I'll say about the Peter Regan, Peyton Rossi issue, there was a little bit of factual lies in that whole scenario. Bill Thompson should be, in my humble opinion, terrified that the public will want to know exactly what happened. And I hope we don't have to wait 10 years to find out what happened, because the IDAHO4 that are missing from this picture should be honored. How do we honor them? We find out the truth. We find out the truth for their families that can't stand up to the system. And that's how we do it together. Drop your comments, drop a lot of love below. Let these families know that we the people have their backs, that we the people will find out the truth. Because I don't think these families know the truth, in my humble opinion. And that's what we do for one another. We find out what happened when they can't. Drop your love below, and I'll see you on next stream. Everyone be well.
Listen close, we rise up from the ashes, digging for the truth, breaking old habits. We marching with the nesters, they laid the foundation, passed down. Revelation sparked our motivation in a world of facades. We peeling back the layers. Truth is the weapon.